Hell yeah. Well done. Alright, second page now.
Oh my god.
Battle of Red Mountain, Dagothar's plans, and Nerevar at Red Mountain. Take some more water. My soft palate is kind of getting in the way of me talking a lot. It's making this a little hard. The Battle of Red Mountain and the rise and fall of the Tribunal. The following is a transcript of the words of Lord Vivek addressed to a dissident priest, Melor O'Main, who confronted Vivek with the Ashlander tradition surrounding the Battle of Red Mountain and with prophecies of the Nerevarine, and to unnamed magistrates of the Inquisition who joined Vivek in interrogating the dissident priest. Who can clearly recall the events of the distant past? But you have asked me to tell you, in my own words, the events surrounding the Battle of Red Mountain, the birth of the Tribunal, and the prophecies of a Nerevar reborn. Here is what I can tell you. When the Chimer first abandoned the herds and tents of their nomadic ancestors and built the first great houses, we loved the Daedra and worshipped them as gods. But our brethren, the Dwemer, scorned the Daedra and mocked our foolish rituals, and preferred instead their gods of reason and logic. So the Chimer and Dwemer were always at bitter war, until the Nords came and invaded Resdain. Only then did the Chimer and Dwemer put away their strife and join together to cast out the invaders. Once the Nords were driven out, General Nerevar of the Chimer and General Dumac of the Dwemer, who had come to love and respect one another, resolved to make peace between their peoples. In that time, I was but a junior counselor to Nerevar, and Nerevar's queen, Almalexia, and his other favorite counselor, Sodasil, always doubted that such a peace might long survive, given the bitter disputes between Chimer and Dwemer, but by negotiation and compromise, Nerevar and Dumac somehow managed to preserve a fragile peace. But when Dagoth Lord of House Dagoth, entrusted as a friend by both Nerevar and the Dwemer, brought us proof that High Engineer Kraganek of the Dwemer had discovered the heart of Lorcan, and that he had learned how to tap its powers, and was building a new god, a mockery of Chimer faith into a fearsome weapon, we all urged Nerevar to make war on the dwarves, and to destroy this threat to Chimer beliefs and security. Nerevar was troubled. He went to Dumac and asked if what Dagoth had said was true. But Kraganek took great offense and asked whom Nerevar thought he was, that he might presume to judge the affairs of the Dwemer. Nerevar was further troubled and made pilgrimage to Ptolemaion, the sacred temple of Azura, and Azura confirmed that all that Dagoth said was indeed true, and that the creation of a new god of the Dwemer should be prevented at all costs. When Nerevar came back and told us what the goddess had said, we felt our judgments confirmed, and again counseled him to war, chiding Nerevar for his naive trust and friendship, and reminding Nerevar of his duty to protect the faith and security of the Chimer against the impiety and dangerous ambitions of the Dwemer. So, Kraganek was trying to make a god, supposedly. I'm sorry? Kegranak? Sorry. But Vivek just now claimed that Dagoth is trying to make a new god. Is this just the excuse they make every time somebody else has control of the heart? Then Nerevar went back to Vardenfell one last time, hoping that negotiations and compromise might once again preserve the peace. But this time the friends Nerevar and Dumac quarreled bitterly, and as a result, the Chimer and Dwemer went to war. The Dwemer were well defended by their fortress at Red Mountain, but Nerevar's cunning drew most of Dumac's armies out into the field and pinned them there, while Nerevar, Dagoth, and a small group of companions could make their way into the Heart Chamber by secret means. There, Nerevar, the Chimer King, met Dumac, the Dwarf King, and they both collapsed from grievous wounds and draining magics. With Dumac fallen and threatened by Dagoth and others, Kegranak turned his tools upon the heart, and Nerevar said he saw Kegranak and all his Dwemer companions at once disappear from the world. In that instant, Dwemer everywhere disappeared without a trace. But Kegranak's tools remained, and Dagoth seized them, and he carried them to Nerevar, saying, "That fool Kegranak has destroyed his own people with these things. we should destroy them right away, lest they fall into the wrong hands. But Nerevar was resolved to confer with his queen and his generals, who had foreseen that this war would come, and whose counsel he would not ignore. I will ask the tribunal what we shall do with them, for they have had wisdom in the past that I had not. Stay here, loyal Dagoth until I return. So Nerevar told Dagoth to protect the tools and the heart chamber until he returned. Then Nerevar was carried to us where we waited on the slopes of Red Mountain, and he told us all that had transpired under Red Mountain. What Nerevar had said was that the Dwemer had used special tools to turn their people into immortals, and that the heart of Lorcan held wondrous powers. Only later did we hear from others present that Dagoth had thought the Dwemer destroyed, not made immortal, and no one knows for sure what really happened there. After hearing Nerevar, we gave our counsel as he requested, proposing we should preserve these tools in trust for the welfare of the Chimer people, and who knows, perhaps the Dwemer are not gone forever, but merely transported to some distant realm, from which they may someday return to threaten our security once again. Therefore, we need to keep these tools, to study them and their principles, so that we may be safe in future generations. Wait, what? Nerevar had said was that the Dwemer had used special tools to turn their people into immortals, and that the heart of Lorcan had held wondrous powers. What? Wait, no, which thing did he say? This is contradicting. This doesn't actually make any sense. Because then you say right here, right afterwards, you counsel that they did in fact disappear. What? Because you say that Nerevar said that. But then you claim Nerevar told you something different, and later you heard from others present. Who were the others present? And though Nerevar voiced his grave misgivings, he was willing to be ruled by our council, under one condition, that we all together should swear a solemn oath upon Azura that the tools would never be used in their profane manner that the Dwemer had intended. We all readily agreed and swore solemn oaths at Nerevar's dictation. So then we went with Nerevar back into Red Mountain and met with Dagoth. Dagoth refused to deliver the tools to us, saying they were dangerous and we could not touch them. Dagoth seemed to be irrational, insisting that only he could be trusted with the tools, and then we guessed that he had somehow been affected by his handling of the tools. But now I feel sure that he had privately learned the powers of the tools, and had in some confused way decided he must have them for himself. Then Nerevar and our guard resorted to force to secure the tools. Somehow Dagoth and his retainers escaped, but we gained the tools and delivered them to Sothisil for study and safekeeping. For some years we kept the oaths we swore to Azura with Nerevar, but during that time, in secret, Sothisil must have studied the tools and divined their mysteries. And at last he came to us with a vision of a new world of peace, with justice and honor for nobles and health and prosperity for the commoners, with the tribunal as immortal patrons and guides. And dedicating ourselves to this vision of a better world, we made a pilgrimage to Red Mountain and transformed ourselves with the power of Kagranak's tools. Yeah, y'all have not done a good job of any of what you said you would do, so I'm not really seeing that. I mean, for one, the Empire invaded. You can tell a bunch of weirdos in metal armor to fuck off. And no sooner than we had completed our rituals and begun to discover our newfound powers, the Daedra Lord Azura appeared and cursed us for our forsworn oaths. By her powers of prophecy, she assured us that her champion Nerevar, true to his oath, would return to punish us for our perfidy. And to make sure such profane knowledge might never again be used to mock or defy the will of the gods. But Sothisil said to her, "The old gods are cruel and arbitrary and distant from the hopes and fears of Mer. Your age is past. We are the new gods, born of the flesh and wise in caring of the needs of our people. Spare us your threats and chiding, inconstant spirit. We are bold and fresh. and we will not fear you. So who the fuck are you? I've literally never seen you. I don't even really hear people talk about you. Did I, like, interact with this asshole at some point and I just completely forgot? You don't think so? But then, in that moment, all Chimer were changed into Dunmer, and our skin turned ashen and our eyes into fire. Of course, we only knew at that time that this had happened to us, but Azura said, "This is not my act, but your act. You have chosen your fate, and the fate of your people, and all the Dunmer shall share your fate, from now to the end of time. You think yourselves gods, but you are blind, and all is darkness." And Azura left us alone in darkness, and we were all afraid. But we put on brave faces, and we went forth from Red Mountain to build the new world of our dreams. And the new world we shaped was glorious and generous, and the worship of the Dunmer fervent and grateful. The Dunmer were at first afraid of their new faces, but Sothasil spoke to them, saying that was not a curse but a blessing, a sign of their changed natures, and sign of the special favor they might enjoy as new Mer. No longer barbarians trembling before ghosts and spirits, but civilized Mer, speaking directly to their immortal friends and patrons, the three faces of the tribunal. And we were all inspired by Sothasil's speech and vision, and took heart. And over time, we crafted the customs and institutions of a just and honorable society, and the land of Resdain knew millennia of peace, equity, and prosperity unknown to other savage races. Where's Resdain? Because they mentioned Vardenfell in here too, so what's Resdain? Do you know?
Oh, right there.
What's right there? What do you mean by right there? In Morrowind? I don't know, they must be talking about a bigger place than that. But beneath Red Mountain, Dagoth had survived, and even as the light of our bold new world shined ever more brightly, beneath Red Mountain the darkness gathered, a darkness that was close kin to the bright light that Sothasil coaxed from the heart of Lorcan with the tools of Kagranak. As the darkness grew, we fought it and crafted walls to confine it, but we never could destroy it, for the source of the darkness was the same source as the source of our own divine inspiration. And in these latter days of Morrowind, reduced to a subjugated province of the Western Empire, as the glory of the temple fades and the dark tide rises from Red Mountain, we are reminded of Azura and her promised champion's return. We have waited blind and in darkness, mere shadows, drained of our ardent vision, in shame of our folly, in fear of our judgment, and in hope of our deliverance. We do not know if the Outlander claiming to fulfill the prophecies of the Nerevarine is our old companion Nerevar Reborn, or a pawn of the Emperor, or a cat's paw of Azura, or some simple twist of fate. But we insist you adhere to the temple doctrine, and conform to the structures dividing the hieroglypha from the apographa, and that you not speak that which must not be spoken openly. Act as a dutiful priest should, in accordance with your vows of obedience to the canons and archcanons. And all will be forgiven. Defy me, and you will know what it is to stand against a god. Vivek. Is Nerevar at Red Mountain the other account? Okay. The following is from the Apographa, the hidden writings of the Tribunal Temple. It is a scholarly retelling of a tradition transmitted through the Ashlanders concerning the battle at Red Mountain and subsequent events. The Ashlanders associate this tale with the telling of Elandro Sol, a shield companion of Nerevar who came to live among the Ashlanders after the death of Nerevar and during the ascension of the Tribunal. There are many variant treatments of this story, but the primary elements are consistent throughout the tradition. The murder of Nerevar, the tragic fate of Dagoth, and the profane source of the Tribunal's divine power are denied by the Temple doctrine as ignorant Ashlander superstition and not widely known among civilized Dunmer. Resdain, present-day Morrowind. Okay. What's Vardenfell?
The island.
Well, what's Morrowind? What's the whole thing?
You know how you were immortal?
In Solstheim?
Immortal.
Yeah, but Solstheim as well? Or is Solstheim closer to Skyrim than it is Morrowind? Because I jumped to Solstheim. Okay. Present-day Morrowind was contested ground between two very different types of Mer. The Chimer, who worshipped Daedra, and the Dwemer, who worshipped a profane and secret power. These two people warred with each other constantly until their lands were invaded by a young, vibrant, and violent alien culture, the Nords. Two heroes, one from the Chimer and one from the Dwemer, Indoril Nerevar and Dumek Dwarfork. Oh, really? Dumek was a Dwemer orc hybrid. Is it wrong to call him a hybrid? What do you say there? Mixed race. That doesn't sound great either. Made peace between their people and together ousted the alien invaders. Then these two heroes worked long and hard to maintain that peace thereafter, though their counselors thought it could not last, or worse, that it shouldn't. Nerevar's queen and his generals, Almalexia, Sothasil, Vivek, told him... What do they keep meaning by Nerevar's queen? My wife? Or Nerevar's wife? Because... I don't think they called Nerevar king, they called him general. So who the hell... Why do they keep referring to Almalexia as his queen? Told him to claim all Resdain for his own, but Nerevar would not listen, for he remembered his friendship with Dumak. There would be only peace. Until Dagothar arrived. Oh, that was supposed to be related to the other. The emphasis was until Dagothar arrived. House Dagoth had discovered the source of the profane and secret power of the Dwemer, the legendary heart of Lorkhan, which Dumak's people had used to make themselves immortal and beyond the measure of the gods. In fact, one of their high priests, Kegranak, was building a new god so that the Dwemer could claim Resdain for their own. Okay. So what the last thing was like trying to say, what the account of what Nerevar said, was the fact that the Dwemer were immortal. They were immortal because of the heart. What they're putting forward was that Kegranak already knew how to make people immortal, and he made his entire race immortal. And then what happened during the Battle of Red Mountain was that Kegranak, possibly by accident, reversed that immortality. And what the heart will do if you reversed immortality like that is it just makes you disappear. And it made his entire race disappear. But then why didn't that other guy, who was at a different realm, why did he not leave? Did it only have power over... Can it only like turn that on and off as long as you're within that same realm? And that's why he's still alive? In the Corpsarium? I remember seeing somebody put forward the conspiracy theory that the Dwemer disappeared because they found out that they were in a game. That was like... That was a major theory being put forward, that they had gained self-awareness. Was it you who said that?
Oh yeah, that's my theory.
Well, I don't know, you might have just told me. Alright. The tribunal urged Nerevar again to make war on the dwarves. Nerevar was troubled. He went to Dumak, his friend of old, and asked if what Dagothar said was true, but Kegranak and the high priest of the Dwemer had kept their new god secret from their king, and Dumak said the Dwemer were innocent of any wrongdoing. Nerevar was troubled again and made pilgrimage to Holy Mayan, the sacred temple of Azura, who confirmed that all that Dagothar said was indeed true, and that the new god of the Dwemer should be destroyed for the safety of not only Resdain, but for the whole world. When Nerevar went back and told his tribunal what the goddess had said, his queen and generals felt themselves proved aright, and again counseled him to war. There were reasons that the Dwemer and Chimer had hated each other forever. Finally, Nerevar, angered that his friend Dumak would lie to him, went back to Vardenfell. This time, the Chimer King was arrayed in arms and armor, and had his hosts around him, and he spoke harshly to Dumac Dwarf Orc, King of Red Mountain. You must give up your worship of the heart of Lorcan, or I shall forget our friendship and the deeds that were accomplished in its name. And Dumac, who still knew nothing of Kagranak's new god, but proud and protective as ever of his people, said, "We shall not relinquish that which has been our way for years beyond reckoning, just as the Chimer will not relinquish their ties to the lords and ladies of Oblivion. And to come at my door in this way, arrayed in arms and armor, and with your hosts around you, tells me you have already forgotten our friendship. Stand down, my sweet Nerevar, or I swear by the 15-1 golden tones, I shall kill you and all your people." 15-1 golden tones? The weapons to strike the heart talk about tones. Was there god that they were going to create one of tones? It's weird. Funny. Was there a god that they were going to make one of metal? Like maybe a godlike centurion?
Yeah.
You think so? You know so.
Well, because I believe Numenor was.
Neat. And maybe the tones was because they worked with metal so much. So tones were probably something that they knew a lot of and might have made it into their religion. And from what people have been telling me in here, tones and that music might have like a significant divine power. And so the Chimer and Dwemer went to war. The Dwemer were well defended by their fortress at Red Mountain, but the bravery and cleverness of Nerevar's queen and generals drew most of Dumac's armies out into the field and kept them there, so that Nerevar and Dagoth could make their way into the Heart Chamber by secret means. This account says it was just Nerevar and Dagoth. The other one said that it was a few people. There, Nerevar met Dumac and the Dwarf King. Wait, what? Dumac and the Dwarf King? I thought Dumac was the Dwarf King. I thought Kagranach was just like a craftsman. Spoke harshly to Dumac Dwarf Orc, King of Red Mountain. Yeah. Is this just another... Man, it's hard to tell when Bethesda sometimes just mistypes. I'm going to assume that's a mistype. I'm going to assume that's a typo. Okay. There I met Dumac and the Dwarf King, and they both fell from grievous wounds. Okay, so it's definitely just supposed to be two people here. Dagoth slew Kagranach and took the tools of the Dwemer used to tap the powers of the heart. He went to his dying lord Nerevar and asked him what to do with these tools, and Nerevar summoned Azura again, and she showed them how to use the tools to separate the power of the heart from the Dwemer people. So the people's account of it was that the tribunal got rid of the Dwemer. And on the fields, the tribunal and their armies watched as the Dwemer turned into dust all around them as their stolen immortality was taken away. Back in Red Mountain, Nerevar told Dagoth to protect the tools and the heart chamber until he returned. Dagoth said, "But shouldn't we destroy these tools at once, so that they might never be used for evil again?" But Nerevar was confused by his wounds and his sorrow, for he still loved Dumac and the Dwemer people, and so went to the fields outside of Red Mountain to confer with his queen and his generals, who had foreseen that this war... So Nerevar isn't a general in this account. Nerevar was the king in this account. Is there a conflicting history of what Nerevar was? Like the tribunal claimed that he was just a general, but the dissident priests believe that he was a king? That he was their king? I might need to scroll back up to see what he was referred to as at first. Who had foreseen that this war would come and whose counsel he would not ignore again. I will ask the tribunal what we shall do with them, for they have had wisdom in the past that I had not. Stay here, loyal Dagoth, until I return. Then Nerevar told his queen and generals all that had transpired under Red Mountain, and how the Dwemer had used special tools to turn their people into immortals, and the wondrous power of the heart of Lorcan. Didn't you already talk to Almalexia? Or did I misread that? You talked to somebody else. Azura. Okay, he summoned Azura again. And Azura supposedly helped that happen. Use special tools to turn their people into immortals and of the wondrous power of the heart of Lorcan. So that's the same in both accounts. That he went down and told them that they became immortals. But what's different is that in this account, Azura was summoned by Nerevar, and then they specifically killed all the dwarves. While in the Tribunal account, Kegranak did it, possibly by accident. The Tribunal decided that the Chimer should learn how to use this power so that the Nerevar might claim Resdain and the world for their people. Nerevar did not expect or want this, so he asked his queen and generals to help him summon Azura yet again for her guidance. But the Tribunal had become as greedy as Kegranak upon hearing of the power of the heart, and they coveted it. They made ritual as if to summon Azura as Nerevar wanted, but Almalexia used poisoned candles, and Sothasil used poisoned robes, and Vivek used poisoned invocations. Nerevar was murdered. I guess they do gloss over how Nerevar seemingly died in the other account. They said that he was carried down to them, but they never actually state how he died. Then Azura came forth anyway and cursed the Tribunal for their foul deeds. She told them that she would use her powers over Dusk and Dawn to make sure Nerevar would come back and make things right again. But the Tribunal laughed at her and said that soon they would be gods themselves, and that the Chimer people would forget their old ways of worship. And Azura knew this would be true, and that it would take a long time before her power might bring Nerevar back. What you have done here today is foul beyond measure, and you will grow to regret it, for the lives of gods are not what mortals think, and matters that weigh only years to mortals weigh on gods forever. And so that they might know forever their wicked deeds, Azura changed the Chimer into Dunmer, and their skin turned ashen and their eyes into fire. Let this remark remind you of your true selves, who, like ghouls, fed on the nobility, heroism, and trust of their king. Okay, so he was a king, supposedly, according to this. And then the Tribunal went into Red Mountain and met with Dagoth-Ur, and Dagoth-Ur saw what had been done. For his skin had changed as well, and he tried to avenge the death of Nerevar, but to no avail. He was driven off and thought dead. The Tribunal found the tools he had been guarding, and through study of Kegranak's methods, turned themselves into gods. Thousands of years after their apotheosis, the Tribunal are still the gods of Morrowind, and the old ways of worship are remembered only by a few. And the murder of Nerevar is known to fewer, but his queen and general still fear his return, for the words of Azura linger long, and they see the mark of her curse on their people every day. So it's probably a little of one, little of the other. Dagoth, in his own messages to me, said that I killed him for guarding the things that I told him to guard. So this account is wrong on that, because it claims that Nerevar was already dead, and the Tribunal went in there and killed him. But even Dagoth-Ur, the guy who was there and would have the most reason to lie and claim that this is the truth, says that Nerevar is the one that went in there and did it. Interesting. I wonder which parts of which are true. And Dagoth-Ur's plans. Oh wait, first, Battle of Red Mountain. So, what was Nerevar called? So the China always bitter. What's the Nords? General Nerevar. Okay. In that time, I was but a junior counselor to Nerevar and Nerevar's queen. Maybe they just call him general, but both sides saw him as king. Because in this one, it also calls Almalexia Nerevar's queen. So maybe that's not really something to care about. Dagothar's plans. The following documents were prepared by temple scholars and agents of the Inquisition for Lord Vivek. From interrogation of captured sleepers and other Sixth House cultists, from study of manuscripts written by cultists and victims of dream-induced mania, from interviews with Lord Vivek concerning historical campaigns against Red Mountain, and from broad conjectures and inferences made upon these materials, this is our best estimate of Dagothar's motivations and objectives in this most recent phase of his war upon Morrowind. Basic objectives. 1. Establish a theocracy in Morrowind based on the worship of the newborn god Akulakan, second Numidium, to be created by Dagothar from the heart of Lorkhan, and a body constructed according to the principles and rituals pioneered by the Dwemer Kagranak. Oh, yeah. So, a huge centurion, a godlike centurion. Establish the ancient heirs of House Dagoth as the god priests of Akulakan, and the Sixth House of Dagothar as the dominant political power in Morrowind. Through charismatic conversion, unite the Dunmer under the guidance of Dagothar to battle against the foreign animals who hold Morrowind in subjection. Note, Dagothar has apparently adopted the views and motivations of the Dwemer High Craft Lord Kagranak. In effect, he recapitulates the ancient blasphemous folly of the Dwemer. 2. Expose the false worship of the Tribunal and destroy the ecclesiastical? Man, helping me with this one? Ecclesiastical, you're right, ecclesiastical authority and political power of the temple. How much the dissident priests or the cult of the Neravine may be controlled or influenced by the Sixth House in this regard is open to speculation. I've heard ecclesiastical before. For a moment, when I was reading that, I was like, there is a word I have definitely heard before that is this word, but it just wasn't popping up. Extirpate all remaining individuals of inferior and mongrel races from Morrowind. Mr. Dagoth, you're not helping yourself. I beeth Nord.
The accusations.
No, he's not. I think he very much loves the accusations. He sees them as correct. Drive the Empire from Morrowind. Recover ancient territory stolen by Skyrim and Argonia. The Argonians stole territory from you? Motherfuckers. That must be embarrassing. Extend the worship of Akulakan to all nations of Tamriel through subversion and conquest. For number 6. Plans to establish and expand the Sixth House. Phase 1. Secure Red Mountain against Tribunal intruders. Deny Tribunal access to the heart. Weakening the temple while securing Red Mountain for the creation of Akulakan. Keep the construction of second Numidium a secret. Phase 2. Create passive servants in ever-widening circles around Red Mountain by broadcasting compulsions couched in dream imagery to susceptible subjects in their sleep. Establish a major operational base at Kogoron for further operations in the Ashways. Establish smaller bases near small port villages and in lower-class waterfront districts in Vivek. Infiltrate and subvert smuggling syndicates. Recruit willing followers from disaffected populations, including the underworld, the poor, and rabid anti-imperial activists. Phase 3. Expand from smaller bases to other towns and villages, and recruit and indoctrinate subjects made susceptible by dream sendings. Occupy abandoned towers and ruins, and train corrupted cultists as raiders and irregular troops. Identify, discredit, and decimate possible sources of political resistance. Phase 4. Use assassination and terror to weaken, distract, and disrupt the legions and the imperial bureaucracy, along with their Hlalu sympathizers. Inspire popular uprisings of the native poor against the foreign rich and powerful. Summon sleepers and dreamers to Dagothar to work on second Numidium. I like the fact that this is all couched in semi-reasonable takes. Not the mongrel race part, but I like the fact that all of these, in some manner, are given a note of believability, and like kind of makes me empathize with it a little bit. Like, it does not look good the way the Empire has come in here and totally overtaken this culture. It does not look good. It harkens back to things that I would say we probably didn't do so well in real life, right? It's obviously allegorical, insanely so. I mean, the Dunmer are ash-skinned and they're being taken over by fucking British nerds. Doesn't take much. And they lost to the lizards, man. That really fucking sucks. What? They're barely sentient. What did they do?
That is something. Oh, nothing.
I just love all the memes about, like, if the Nerevar comes back as an Argonian, and Dagothar is like, yeah, cool. Okay, yep, read that part. Inferring Dagothar's perspectives. Dagothar thinks on a large timescale, for the most part, in the outside of timescale of the divine consciousness. He thinks that only obstacles of mythic scale are worth consideration. He believes he is fated to rule Morrowind, to free Morrowind of the Empire, and to become the new hard-loving father of Morrowind. Given that perspective, the only opposing forces Dagothar worries about are the Tribunal, the Daedra, the Emperor, and the Incarnate. With the Tribunal's loss of Sunder and Keening, and with the diminishing resources of Vivec, Almalexia, and Sothasil, Dagothar believes he has permanently gained a decisive strategic advantage. On a mortal timescale, the battle may last for centuries, but the outcome is not in doubt, and Akula Khan may be a device for dramatically reducing the timescale for a decisive victory. The myth of dynamic invincibility of the Emperor and the Empire has long been an unquantifiable and intimidating threat, but recent rumors of unrest in Cyrodiil, of the Emperor's failing health, and the unsettled question of the succession have diminished the scale of that threat. Nonetheless, the revelation that the Nerevarine is a pawn of Imperial intelligence, handpicked and sent to Morrowind by the Emperor himself, may cause Dagothar considerable anxiety. The Daedra represent no coherent obstacle to Dagothar. Nonetheless, their personal abilities and their influence upon their fanatic followers is considerable, and their motives and actions obscure, and Dagothar remains concerned about them. The Incarnate represents Saint Nerevar, a mythic force that has previously defeated Dagothar, and Dagothar is obsessed with this threat. At the same time, Dagothar knew Nerevar personally, knew that he was a mortal man with faults and weaknesses. Dagothar may have some hope of seducing or negotiating with Nerevar's reincarnation. So this thing also parrots the idea that Nerevar defeated Dagothar, which is not in the recounting by the dissident priests, who believe that Nerevar had already died and Dagothar had been defeated primarily by the Tribunal. Why is that? I guess because it is way better for the dissident priests if it was just a pure showcasing of the Tribunal's greed. But they also want Dagothar to die. The dissident priests don't like him. Further, when Nerevar and the Tribunal defeated Dagothar, they were strong and allied. Now the Nerevarine and the Tribunal are weak, opposed, and divided. Therefore, though the Nerevarine and the Tribunal represent the most serious threat to Dagothar's plans, he still has good reason to believe that this time he will prevail. A recent timescale of Dagothar's activities. Much of the following timescale is based on inference from incomplete information. Before 882, Dagothar and his kin lie dreaming beneath the sills of Red Mountain. 2 Fancy E 882, Dagothar and his ash vampires awake refreshed and emerge from lower Red Mountain into the Heart Chamber. Dagothar ritually binds himself and his brethren as heart whites in a ritual of his own devising. First stages of construction of second Numidium, conceived during the long sleep, are begun by heart whites and Atronach constructs in a chamber near the heart of Lorcan. Keeping the second Numidium project a secret from the Tribunal is a high priority. 2 Fancy E 882. The tribunal arrive at Red Mountain for their annual ritual bathing in the heart's power. Dagoth and Ash vampires ambush the tribunal. The tribunes are driven away and prevented from restoring themselves with Kagranek's tools at the heart of Lorcat. 2 Fancy E 882 3 Fancy E 417. What's up?
Fancy E might stand for hero, but I don't know.
Oh, you think so? That'd be a good guess. But it's just a guess.
Fancy E.
Mm-hmm. Intermittent tribunal campaigns assault Red Mountain. The tribunal and supporting forces seek to force access to the Heart Chamber, but are repeatedly driven back. Dagoth recruits sleepers and dreamers through dream sendings. Cultists are recruited through dream compulsion. Weaker cultists become corpus beasts. Stronger cultists advance through stages towards the powers of the ascended sleepers. 3 Fancy E 400. Why is this? Does this count down? No, that thing goes to 410. So what's up with this? Oh, Gold Rune reoccupied by Dagoth Uthal and fortified as an advanced base for 6th House operations. The light storms more frequent and widespread. Soul sickness spreads in regions close to Red Mountain. 3 Fancy E410. 6th House bases founded near Narmak and in waterfront areas of Vivek. 6th House operatives exploit smuggler organizations and communications to spread their influence among victims unbalanced by Dagoth's dream sendings. 3 Fancy E415. Small cells of 6th House cultists in every town in Vardenfell. Larger 6th House operations are concealed in remote dungeons where creatures are bred and cultists are trained for the coming struggle. 3 Fancy E417. Almalexia and Sothasil lose the artifacts Keening and Sunder to Dagoth, Odros, and Vemin. Vivek rescues Almalexia and Sothasil, but failing to recover Keening and Sunder, the tribunal retreat from Red Mountain in disorder. Surviving buoyant Armiger companions know the tribunal was forced to retreat, but do not know how serious a reversal the tribunal has suffered. The 3 tribunes return to their respective capitals and continue to perform their ritual functions. The tribunes continue to grow weaker without access to the heart, and because of resources required to support the ghost fence. Oh, that's it. And because of resources required to support the ghost fence. The inner circle of the temple priesthood has begun to suspect the tribunes have suffered seriously from wounds and demoralization in the wake of reverses at Red Mountain, but do not recognize the scale of the problem. 3 Fancy E 426427. Campaign of 6th House assassination of prominent Imperial citizens and Lalu Imperial sympathizers. Sudden increase in number and seriousness of attacks by cultists and victims deranged by soul sickness. Noted with concern. Dagoth can apparently perceive and communicate directly through his cultists. Sleepers and dreamers are often reported speaking as though with Dagoth's voice and intention. 2. Little is known about the feature scale or stage of completion of Akulakan, 2nd Numidium. No one has gained entrance to the Heart Chamber since 2 Fancy E282. In 3 Fancy E417, Keening and Sunder were captured and may substantially aid in Akulakan's construction. Oh, fucking boy. Well, that was almost a straight hour of reading. Man, that was weird. And I don't know if I feel any more aware of what the lies might be. Was there something else? Okay. Well, that was something. I accepted Wraithguard from Lord Vivek and swore my oath before all gods and men, before all spirits, visible and invisible, before my honor and Vivek's honor, today I dedicate myself and Wraithguard to the defeat and destruction of Dagoth and the preservation of Morrowind and its people. Vivek somehow taught me how to use Wraithguard. He then offered to give me some explanations, or let me go immediately, as I wished. To defeat Dagoth-Ur, Vivek says I must go to Red Mountain to recover the artifact Hammer Sunder from Gate Citadel Viminal, and then the artifact Blade Keening from Gate Citadel Odrusal. Then, with these artifacts in Wraithguard, if I destroy the enchantments on the Heart of Lorkhan and Dagoth-Ur's Citadel, Dagoth-Ur will be destroyed, and the Blight ended. Vivek gave me the plan to defeat Dagoth-Ur to explain the details. Yeah, I got 'em. I got some fucking details. This is probably what I've already read. Yeah, both of them probably are. What's Wraithguard? Madstone of some shitty shit. Intervention. Oh, hey, look, Wraithguard. Constant effect of shield 10 points on self, reflect 20% on self, resist blight, which is unnecessary, and resist almost all types of magic 10%. All right. I mean, that's fucking sick. Is that Dwemer? It's a Dwemer gauntlet. Once again showing the fact that the temple pretty much only gets all of its power from Dwemer. Freaks. I brewed mine. Shit's homegrown. Okay, huh? So I should be good now? Like, I should be good now, right? I talked to Vivek.
Do you have something to say?
Oh my
Outlander?
god, it's you. You're right out here. I probably even looked at you and just didn't see your name. Hey, are we cool? Welcome to Vivek Gregnerson. I'm Nolosi Alari. Are you looking for services? Oh, you probably wouldn't attack me anyway. You're named. What? Why are you attacking me? I thought... Accepted my apology for killing the Ordinator guard at the High Fae. I did not do that. Alright. Whatever.
Arr!
Fine. Let's go home. My guy wants to rest. We can do that. I still have shoes? Sick. We need to go talk to the people. Let's have a little rest. 24 hours of rest is good. Or maybe